Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to introduce our trainer for today. Jean Terman is photographer extraordinaire at Jean Terman Photography. She makes getting your picture taken fun. She's skilled at helping you feel comfortable in front of the camera while capturing your essence. And she just makes everything easier when it comes to getting your picture taken. What you may not know about Jean is that she has an extensive background in corporate where she's gained tons of experience as a technical trainer. Jean's also the area director for the New Jersey chapters of the tri-state region and is all about helping you be successful in membership. She's really super dedicated and is always thinking about what else she can do to just help you be successful. She's got a unique and fun presentation about everything showcases today. So be prepared to be wowed and to learn. No pressure, Jean. But now I will hand this off to you, my friend. And if you can just put yourself on mute if you weren't already, I'd appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Not me, though. I shouldn't mute myself, right?
Correct.
Okay. That was a really great buildup. Thank you so much for that. I'm sorry if I let you guys down. No, we're going to have a lot of fun today, and we're going to talk about what it means to put together a memorable showcase, because that's really what we're all here for, right? Is to figure out how to present ourselves in the best way possible to get our teams working for us. But I have a question. I'm looking around this room and I see lots of people's faces that I might have seen their showcases. So by a show of hands, how many of you have already done a showcase? Ah, thank you so much for coming and not saying, hey, I got this. There is information here for you, I promise. And for those of you that are watching it on the replay, and yes, I will be talking a little bit to the replay people. For those of you watching this on the replay, it's for you too. And hang around. We're going to break it into sections, but stay till the end. Just like every good movie, there's an Easter egg at the end and you don't want to miss it. Okay? So we're going to start the presentation and we're going to talk a little bit about showcases, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I used a movie poster for a very specific reason. Before I launch into that, what I really want to hear from you guys in the chat, when someone says to you, it's time for your showcase, what do you think about? Can you put in the chat, just what's the showcase about? Why do you do a showcase? You got a word for me or 2 words for me? Throw them up. Oh, I like that. So connect with people, educate, what I do. I love that. That is all really true. Get to know you personally, Nancy, you've been around. Why I do what I do and who I am. Okay, I can leave. Y'all are good. So that is right. And that is where we want to be. I'm so glad your mind is exactly where we need to be for this conversation. So we're going to talk a little bit about what a showcase is, right? And why I used that movie poster, because Master Networks and wherever we are, I really want to stress when Master Networks says education, we're really doing this education to help you in your business, to help you outside the boxes, right? So this is about doing a showcase in Master Networks, but it's about presenting yourself to anyone who needs to know about your business, right? So when we walk into a meeting, we do this thing called a soundbite. It's that 30 seconds where you're trying to catch someone's attention. And if you think about that, really think about that, that 30 seconds is a movie commercial, right? That 30 seconds is that 30 seconds, whether it's, I don't know, late night when people are, watching and scrolling, or if it's during the Super Bowl, wherever you can place that ad, it's your ad. And you have a really short period of time. And when I talk to people about doing their sound bites, I always say, if in 30 seconds you can say everything that you do, you need to do more with your life. But that is really the truth. It is something really quick and catchy that makes people want to move forward and see the show. And the show is what? The show is your face-to-faces. And hopefully it's not just a one-time movie, it's a series. Whether it's Marvel or, This Is Us or whatever it is, hopefully you're going to have iteration after iteration where people coming back. But if you don't, make sure it's a great movie when they get that first face-to-face. So you've got your soundbite, which is commercial. You got your face to face. That's the movie. There's something in between. And what's in between is your showcase. And if you think about your showcase, what it really is it's the HBO making of documentary. It's how you got where you got. So it's a little bit bigger than your soundbite. And it goes deeper into why people want to know you and why people want to work with you. And that's a heavy lift sometimes, right? How do we do that? In the chat for me, just do thumbs up if you get nervous before you have to talk to people. If you think, oh, I have to talk about myself again. Does that, oh, there we go. We got some thumbs up happening in there. I've done this talk forever. Oh, I love that, Teresa. Yes, that's about what I felt like this morning, because every time I have to talk, I'm like, oh, I have to talk. I really want to say to everybody here, Master Networks and your chapter, those people inside that room, it's the softest landing you will ever have. So if those nerves are bubbling up and you're thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, I have to talk, it's the best place to do it. It's the place where you want to come and you want to try things out, because these are people who really want you to succeed and really want to lift you up. So those nerves, quiet them down just a little bit with that idea that this is a really soft landing. And remember, you get to do your showcase multiple times. If you're in a huge chapter, it might be once a year. If you're in a small chapter, it could be 3 times a year. So when we're talking about showcases, I want you to remember, this isn't a one and done. But that's okay, because showcases are short. And truly, if you can talk about everything you do in your life in 8 minutes, maybe you need to have more in your life. I got ideas for you. All right, let's get going. So your showcase is a chance to build trust with your team, right? This is where you get to tell them more about yourself and let them get to know you. And it's a bridge to the main event. And the main event are your face-to-faces. We want to make sure we get there. Well, that sounds easy, right? Except for one little thing. How do you do it? So this is what we want to talk about. We're going to break it into parts. Parts 1 and 2 of your showcase. Part 3, we're going to talk about after we go into breakouts. So remember, hang on. But for part 1, we want to talk about what we do first. Some people get tricky, they do it last. But when you're starting out, what you really want to do is work on part 1 first. And part 1, who in the chat, tell me, what do you think part 1 is about? I'm watching. What's part 1? Glow, you were too clever. Part 1 is all about you. It's just about you. And it's probably the easiest thing you'll put together, because no one knows you better than you. Your mother probably thinks she does, but no one knows you better than you. So you're actually talking about, or you're taking the first 3 to 4 minutes of this showcase presentation to talk about things like where you're from, what you love to do, your family, your why. This is where you're letting people in to the pieces, parts of who you are and why they should care about you, why they should want to know about you. It's a very important part of the puzzle that we don't want to miss, right? So make sure people know what your why is and why you're there. And I have to tell you, when I've listened to showcases, when I've heard people do showcases, this is where people really start to connect. So when you say, I grew up in St. Louis, people go, oh, the Arch, or they say, oh, I was there, or, oh my gosh, my train broke down in St. Louis. Whatever it is, people start to connect because they're thinking about in their life, what does that relate to? What you love to do, sports teams. Oh my goodness, the conversations about sports teams. Everybody has their love of a team and their hatred of the team that opposes their loved team. But whatever that is, it's visceral and they want to be a part of it. My favorite thing to watch people do is talk about Disney. When people bring up the Mouse House, everybody's eyes light up. I don't know what it is, but if you love Disney, there's at least 50% of the people in the room that love Disney too. So that's your connection. And people love to hear about your family. They love to hear about who these people are, where they came from, what they're doing. It really is that connective tissue that gets people on your side. And knowing why you're there, why this all matters to you, it's really important. And it makes things move when it comes to that know, like, and trust. You want to get to that trust as fast as you can. So letting them know you, letting them figure out the things that you like, that they like, and knowing that they can trust you because you're being vulnerable about the information that you're sharing. It's all really good. I told you, part one's easy. It's about you. But there's part two. So in the chat, what's part two about? I'm waiting. What is part two? Y'all know. What do you think part two is about? What you do, your business, what I can offer. I like that. What you do. It's true. When I talk to people and I say it's time for your showcase, what I see is I see the lights go off in their head and they go, my business. I'm going to talk about my business. And that is true. We're here for business. We want to help each other with their business. So part two is about your business. That is very true. But it's not about what your sale is. It's not the laundry list of the services that you offer. It's not the things that get people to check out of the conversation. And you know what I mean by check out of the conversation, right? If you're talking about the fact that you sell pens, and the people that you're talking to, maybe you have 50 people in the room and one of them happens to need pens at the moment. You might keep that person's attention, but you're only keeping that person's attention. Everybody else in the room, well, they're probably thinking about what they're going to have for lunch or what they need to make for dinner or the next phone call that they have to make. That's not what we want. We want a memorable showcase. We want them thinking about you and staying focused on you. So how do you do that? Well, you're talking about your business why. You're talking about what drives you to do what you do and what you're best at in doing it. So you're talking about how did you get to where you are? Don't focus a ton on past work experience because it's not a resume. It's more the feelings and sharing how you got to where you are and why you do what you do. Why do you love what you do? Why is this something that you want to get up in the morning and do? Or, you know what? Sometimes it's why you don't love what you do and why you're looking for something new. That's okay too. You can use your showcase for what you need your showcase to be, but it's about what's driving you, what's getting you up in the morning. And then a really important one is who do you help and how? Who do you help and how really lets the team that's in that room, and remember, your chapter is your team. It lets them know who they should be thinking about connecting you with and why, because they know how you help people. Doesn't matter that you sell pens for 25 cents a pen. It matters that you create a physical memory that you leave with people that has your brand on it, and that every time someone picks it up, they're thinking of you, right? One statement is much more powerful than the other. Now, that's great. That's what you have to do. The question is, how do you do that? So when we're talking about showcases and why we want to do what we do for showcases, we're talking about telling a great story. Tell a story about how you help someone. Tell a story about a success that you had or a moment where you weren't sure about what you should do, but how you got through it and what you learned on the other side of it. Testimonials are wonderful, but as a story. So if you have a client that says, I went to Teresa and she really helped me understand why managing my time made my business so much better. That's a great testimonial. But inside your showcase, what you want to do is you want to talk about that person, probably not by name, but you want to talk about the person that came to you with a mixed up calendar and no way to get out from underneath it, and how you helped them create a better path to get to the best result for them. You're creating a picture in everybody's mind about what you do and how you do it. Nancy does Legal Shield, and she can do the most amazing things to help people get where they need to get documents together, do the right things that they need for their life. She's got a repository of stories of people that she's helped get to the right places and go in the right way. Those stories are meaningful, they are powerful. And that's what you want to do to get people thinking about why you're special and why you're someone they need to know. I got to tell you, training is just in my wheelhouse. This is the one that I think is the be all and end all. Be the expert. I've been in meetings where I've seen showcases. Chiropractor talked about the best way to get a good night's sleep so that you wake up feeling good in the morning, not having aches and pains. I still use the tips and tricks that he gave us. And that was 5 years ago. It was that memorable. Our financial advisor came in and talked about how you open up a conversation with your family about the types of documents that you need for end of life. Like, how do you get yourself in order? I mean, you all know what it's like when you have older relatives and you're trying to figure out how to have a conversation with them about, are they prepared? That's hard. But she opened that conversation and she gave some really great ideas on how you can do that, because that's really where her heart is. Her heart is working with families and making sure they're financially secure. Everybody learned from that. It was really meaningful. It was so much better than her saying, this is the interest rate in the market and, this is where you should put your money. It was from the heart, and it let people know what she did. And that's what you need to be thinking about. What are you the expert in? What value can you bring to the room so that when they walk out, they remember you? And be vulnerable. Seriously, let them see inside. People get when you're being glossy. People get when it's, hey, I'm awesome and you want to get to know me. It's probably true. I think you're all pretty awesome and we should want to get to know you. You want to be vulnerable. You want to make sure you're letting people know that you're being honest and they're really getting to see you. And this one's interesting. You can ask for help with a challenge. This is your showcase. So this is a great way to let people know who you are. You get a challenge in your business and you lay out that challenge and let them know, not help me because I haven't thought about it, but these are the steps I've taken. This is what has happened to me with those steps. I'm really reaching out to you to see if you guys have any ideas. It's a great way to use that second half of your showcase. You can do that. I would say, tell a great story and teach something and be the expert are probably the first two things I want you to do. But if you have a challenge, you can use this space for that. It's a great space. Hi, guys. So we are actually, I'm going to stop my share for right now. And for those of you who are watching us on the replay, we're going to take a break right now because we're going to go out into breakout rooms. So we're going to pause the video, but we'll be back, and don't go away because you guys watching on the replay, you're just going to go right into the next step. But we're coming back with more stuff. So can we pause this for right now?
Yes, ma'am.
And we are back from our breakouts. Inside my breakout, something really interesting was discussed. I hope something interesting was discussed in all of them. But one of the things that came up was the concept of being vulnerable and actually talking about what you're good at, being an expert. Is it bad to be an expert? Right? Like, you don't want to say you're an expert. It's me, I'm awesome. Your showcase really is about you. It's about you saying, this is why you want to know me. This is why I can help you. This is how I help other people. I know sometimes it's difficult to be vulnerable, and I know sometimes it's difficult to kind of step up and say, wait a minute, the spotlight's on me, and it should be because I'm good at this, right? It's not saying I'm better than you. It's not saying I'm bigger or better than anybody else in the room. What it's saying is, this is me. This is how I help people. This is how I make a difference. And this is how I can help you make a difference. And maybe even more importantly, how I can help the people that you refer me to make a difference in their lives too, right? Building rapport is important. And if you grew up like I did, although I have overcome it, but if you grew up with parents saying to you, shh, don't talk about yourself, I'm really challenging you to step beyond that, because this really is how you grow your business, and it's how you grow your outreach, is by letting people know who you are and how they can connect with you and why. So you're not boring people by taking 3 minutes to let them know a little bit about where you grew up and who your family is. You're actually creating interest for them and creating connections. So I know that can be a challenge for some of you, and I'm really proud of you for taking it on. So if you've never really thought about sharing about yourself before, I'm tasking you with that, because sharing about yourself is how you get to that deeper level of connection with other people. So to the people in my room, thank you so much for sharing that, because I think that was something that really needed to be said. So, all right, guys, are you ready to move on to the next part? Still with me? Yay! All right, so let me share again. And we're back to where we were. So now, ways to present. So if that was the good, and maybe for a little of you, the bad, this is a little bit of the bad too, right? So how are you going to do this? How are you going to make it work? How many of you, show me in the chat, hate the thought of having to share your screen? How many of you try to do it in rooms and are like, oh my goodness, I can't find it. I can't make it work. I don't know what's going on. Right? Yes, I know. It happens to so many of us. So let's talk about some ways that you can do this showcase so it makes you comfortable, because you being comfortable sharing is really important. So build a simple slideshow. I'm a photographer, and I deliberately did not put any pictures in this slideshow. And I did it to show you that you don't have to get super fancy. You can create your slideshow in things like Canva or PowerPoint. This happens to be a PowerPoint. There are all kinds of different ways to create a slideshow. If you don't know what that is because you're challenged by technology, and trust me, I get it. I guarantee you there are people in your chapter that aren't, or probably your child. So if you have a child, they will get you to do this. But you can build a simple slideshow. You do not have to put in pictures. But, you know, people like pictures. So when you're talking about grandpa, having a picture of grandpa would be lovely. If you're talking about where you got married, having a picture of the wedding would be lovely. And, you know, I love roller coasters. So it's another visual. It's another way to stamp who you are if you can make it happen. It's not necessary, but if you can, it's another thing that people can relate to and go, ooh. And right now you're all thinking, is that really her grandfather? And is that really her at her wedding? No, it's not. Made you think. Okay, for your showcases, please. In my showcase, I do show pictures of me, and I apologize for it afterwards. All right. Share your story without sharing your screen. I have seen some really powerful showcases where people just told their story to the room. If you feel really comfortable and you love telling stories and you have that kind of compelling conversation, you can do that. You can captivate a room. It's easier, I think, with a slideshow, just because the slideshow keeps you on track, but you can do that. You can have someone interview you. Look, you're really, really not big on talking in public, and you just don't know how you're going to do that first one. Bring someone on board. Have someone who's in your chapter interview you. Give them 5 questions to ask you or whatever. You know what this is, right? And now that you know the outline and what you want to put into it, give them questions that will feed you the right prompts to give the right answers. And then you're not alone. You've got someone with you. So you can do that. Oh, you can make a video. And I've seen people do this, but I'm really going to caution you on making a video. It seems really cool because you love technology if you're going to make a video. The problem is everybody's bandwidth is different. So a lot of times you start to play that video and the sound isn't pairing up with the video, or the video is stopping and stuttering. Videos can be very challenging. So if you're taking on making a video, understand that technology could trip you up. So be careful. And if possible, refer to other chapter members, right? So I've been referring to people inside this room because y'all know them, and it really connects. It's another connection. It's another way to highlight that you know the people in your chapter and value them, right? Like I could totally talk about Stephanie and Stephanie's passion when she does her showcases, because she really helps people understand what it means to stay safe in your space. And I can talk about Jim, because Jim is like the guy to talk about how to improve your business and really tell you meaningful ways to make that happen. Those kind of things are just one more connecting link. And that's all we're doing, is we're building connections and we're letting people know who we are. So what do they want to do? They want to get to the main presentation, the face-to-face. Oh, now we're getting to the ugly. Are you ready? These are the what nots to do. I promised you good, bad, and ugly. This is ugly, like ugly. Don't wing it. There is nothing worse than, hey, I know what to do. I'll come in and I'll talk. 8 minutes of talking is a long time. And when you don't know what you're going to say, you're probably going to replicate something, duplicate. There's going to be lots of ums and ahs, or you're going to be pulling stuff out of the air that doesn't really even relate to what you want to do and what you want to present. So make sure that you practice. This matters. Respect the people in the room. That is one of our core ideals in Master Networks, is we respect the people in the room that we're in. And the way you respect them is by bringing them something that's valuable. And that means don't wing it. It also means practice timing and sharing your screen. You only have 8 minutes to talk, and hopefully you have like 3 or 4 minutes after for questions. But if you spend 3 of your minutes trying to figure out how to share your screen, not great, and not the greatest view for the people in the room. So ask your president or ask your tech team or ask whoever to get on early with you that day and practice sharing your screen. There's tricks to it, making sure that the presentation is up behind you and you know how to navigate to it. That's so important, because seamlessly being able to transition into your showcase and just take off will make you feel more comfortable and make the room understand that you cared. And practice timing. There's no way that you want to be sitting there and at minute 7 being on the first slide. Make sure you're practicing your timing. Watch the comedy. I think I'm hilariously funny. I truly do. I am hilariously funny to myself. But not always to everybody else. So having lighthearted moments, that's great. But actually doing comedy, unless what you're here in Master Networks and your lane is comedian, probably not the thing you want to do, is to riddle your showcase with comedy. Comedy is usually where we go when we feel uncomfortable. We laugh at something because we're uncomfortable about it. It lends itself to that. So comedy also can wind its way into places where it gets touchy. We've seen it everywhere. So watch the comedy, stay on point with what you want people to know about you. And don't sell. I shouldn't have to say this, it's Master Networks, but don't sell. You're not selling things in your showcase. You're letting people get to know you. You're letting people get to know why they want to get to know you even more, but you're not selling your products. Not here, not now. And don't skip your turn. Look, sometimes life happens and you have to. I get it. But even if you're nervous, even if you think you're not ready, take the time to get ready and do your showcase. This is a gift that we get through Master Networks, that we get this time to focus on ourselves and share that with our communities. So don't miss it. It's really a great thing. And don't forget to let the team know how they can help you. Make sure, remember, you're showing them who you help and how you help them. That's part of what you're doing in all of this. So at the end, wrap it up in a bow and say, I so love working with women between the ages of 35 and however, who hate having their photo taken. It makes my heart happy when I can make them happy. So can you connect me? Make sure you give them something to help you with. You've helped them. Let them know who to connect you with. And last but not least, fill the room with friendly faces. Ask people to come. Let them know you're doing your showcase. Let them know that you're going to be talking about yourself. You're going to be giving more information, and you would love to have friendly faces in the room. So ask other Master Networks members, bring your family. I've seen people bring their whole family. Bring people from the community, from your business community that you wanted to connect with, people that you want to know more about you. Look, you bring in someone that you want to do business with who isn't a Master Networks member, and they see your showcase and they see everybody in the chat going, that was great. I didn't know that about you. I can't wait to talk to you about that. They see all that happening. It just makes you look amazing. So bring them in. And then you know what those people get to do? They get to find out how awesome Master Networks is. And that's awesome. So this is really all about how showcases work and how to put them together. We've made it really Master Network centric, but all of this information really does help you when you're out talking to anybody. This is really how presentations work and how you attract people. Make sure you're thinking about the people in the room and what you can do to make their lives better. And when you do that, they're going to listen, they're going to want to pay attention, and you're going to have an amazing, amazing presentation. So there we go. And I promised you an Easter egg. The Easter egg is Teresa has a handout for you that has all of this information in it.
Where did you put it?
You actually have a checklist on how to put a showcase together. Just by a show of hands, how many of you learned something new today? Jim's not going to raise his hand. How many of you are better ready to do your showcases now? Do you feel better? Awesome. We have a couple of minutes, Teresa. Do we have a couple of minutes for questions, maybe?
We do. I'm just gonna pause this for 1 minute. Jean is putting that in the chat. If you have a question for her, you can raise your electronic hand, please. I see Tina has hers raised. So go ahead, Tina.
I have a question on what you guys think about this, because I thought this was very interesting. I know when certainly people have done this before, like when AB did his presentation, you know, he invited like everyone he knew. He had, you know, and certainly talking about the past and what his why, he had his mom on the call, and it was fantastic. You know, it was a lot about, you know, how she you know, was a survivor and things. And I just thought it was great. He also had some people that were in his company, and he also had some people that were clients. And, you know, it's never about, again, you know, selling Master Networks, but I thought it was really effective, and it was a really big room. How does everybody think about that?
I really love that idea. It's really a good time to invite people that are not just in Master Networks, but also outside of Master Networks, right? I think it adds, we've had a couple of members invite family and friends and colleagues, coworkers. It, you know, makes a nice big room is always nice to present to, but also it gives you kind of like almost another layer of familiarity, I can never say that word, with the person who is presenting, right? It helps you even get to know them more deeply, I think. Any other thoughts?
That's the whole point of fill the room with friendly faces, because you'll feel more comfortable in sharing that information because you've got more friendly faces in the room. Look, your chapter is friendly, but bringing those people in and as Tina said, expanding that network. I love the idea of having the people in your life that you want to connect with come. They'll learn more about you. It'll give them more reason to connect with you, whether it's a business associate or a client that you want to do business with, a prospective client. Those are all really great people to invite.
And it can also be recorded. And if you want the recording, we can get it to you, right?
Right. So in the New Jersey rooms, we record all of them. I don't know if that's happening everywhere, but we do record all of them and get them back. So hopefully that's happening, because then those pieces parts can actually be parsed out and used in your social media, used on your website. You can put them up onto YouTube. You can reuse this and have actual content to put out into the world to show the world who you are. Richard.
And the other thing too, before we get to Richard's question, and then Linda Darren put a question in the chat. The other thing that we can do might be a good thing to do moving forward is giving the presenter the option to record, and then they can record it to their own computer. So you could have multiple recordings going on at the same time. Okay, Richard, what was your question?
Yeah, thank you for this. My question is, do you suggest or recommend putting this on your social media about the event or your showcase to invite those that maybe were thinking about calling you and maybe aren't sure? And I look at it as almost like, hey, if you ever wonder what a meeting with me would look like, why don't you just come on and you can hear it for yourself, kind of a thing? Or is that asking too much to just invite people in your network, I guess, your social network?
That is exactly what we were saying. I think that's a great idea. And actually, on the regional website, there's a resource page. It's hidden, but it's there, where you can actually get graphics to help you promote the website. I'm sorry, to promote your showcase. Use the graphics, promote your showcase, let people know that you're talking. I think that's really valid. Does everybody agree?
Jean, I want to just caution one thing, and that is, please don't put the password.
I was about to go there.
Like, ask them to IM you for it, because we've had some Zoom bombers recently who definitely tried to disrupt the meeting. And again, just put on there, IM me, IM or DM me, whatever you want to do for the password, and then you can give it directly to people.
Great idea, Tina. Okay, Linda,
If you're sending a text to someone, or it's a direct message that you're sending, that's fine, but don't put it out into
Public.
right?
Yeah.
So we have time for like a couple more questions. I think Linda's asking, how long is this showcase part 1 and part 2? And Linda, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think she's referring to how much time she should spend on each of those sections.
Usually I break it into, because usually it's about 8 minutes that you're talking. So it's usually 3 to 4 minutes for part 1 and 4 to 5 minutes for part 2. I've seen people do it, shake it up in different ways. It really depends on how much time you need for that last part where you're being the expert, I think. But don't skip the first part. That first part, people look for it. They want it. They want to get to know you. So remember, you're going to get to do more of these. You don't have to tell them everything about yourself, but give them a taste of who you are in that first part. So I would say 2 to 3 minutes. I've seen people do it in 1, but everybody, I think it feels like they're lacking. They want to know more about you, but like in that 2 to 3 minute zone. And then the rest of the showcase is really you telling the stories about your business or being an expert.
Thanks, Jean. Carolyn, did you have a question?
No, I was actually going to just say what Tina said about.
Okay, awesome. All right. I don't see any other questions in the chat. Jean, thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. Great job. And for the handout, please make sure that you grab the showcase handout. It's in the chat. Jean shared it in the chat. I'm very excited. It's always great to have an outline to work from, right? It was fantastic presentation. Thank you for your time. And I think that's it for today. I'm going to stop recording.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for coming.